Hi, everybody. We're here today with Linda White to talk about our upcoming webinar, Strategies for Rural Job Development. It's all in who you know. Welcome, Linda. It's exciting to talk to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Dan. I'm excited to be here, and I'm so excited about the opportunity to talk to people about something that has been shrouded in mystery to some degree over the years, just because uh, it's a little different than job development just anywhere, everywhere in
Yeah.
urban areas.
Yeah, and it's definitely a topic that we get asked about a lot. We're based in some bigger metropolitan areas, and we do a lot of work in smaller areas as well. But it's great to have someone. Your background is actually in some smaller counties. You've worked around
Yeah.
the Spokane area as well. But kind of what's your background? And if you could let
Well,
everybody know where you've worked,
you
that would be
bet.
great.
You bet. My earliest beginnings were in a sheltered workshop in Grant County, and we were fortunate enough to receive some grant funding from WISE back in, I think 85, 84, 85, and splintered off and began doing individual supported employment. A couple years after that, I was recruited and began working as a branch manager in Colville, Stevens County. And sometime later, I also got to oversee in different positions our services, our individual supported employment services and community access services to people in Ferry, Okanagan, Grant, Mason Thurston, and Stevens primarily. And so I've had to work through a lot of those mysteries about supported employment in order to build some inroads for a lot of our customers.
Yeah, and just as a point of reference for the people who are watching, who might be from the west side of the mountains, or maybe out of state, or even out of the United States, Stevens County, Washington, just as a point of reference, I'm looking at my notes here. It's about 2,550 square miles with 43,000 people. So that's about 17 and a half people per square mile, where in comparison in King County, which is where Seattle is located, excuse me, it's about 2,300 square miles with over 2,100,000 people, which is 917 people per square mile. So a big difference in the population density. And that also means a big difference in the business density that's out there and the types of businesses that are operating in those areas in some cases. And so, your session on rural job development is, you're going to have some tips and tricks, but could you just give us a quick preview of what that's going to
You
look
bet.
like and what people
You
can
bet.
expect?
Boy, we're going to talk from, from the get-go, from meeting the customer to establishing who are your customers, to, that all valuable person-centered planning event that I have over the years mutated a little bit, and it becomes so valuable to me in the world of job development as well. So I want to help people maximize the potential there. And then preparing to meet with the employer, the tours, the informational interviews, all those things are so powerful when you're gathering information and getting to know that employer. It's a fun part that I think a lot of people maybe don't maximize. And I think there's a lot of power in that. So I want to make sure we cover that. The actual job development, the actual number of interactions with the employer, the history, the homework, and then of course the matching. How do we match people to jobs? How do we make sure it's an employer and an environment that we want to work with? How do we help carve out a position in those little mom and pop employers that we all know rural communities are full of? That is so exciting when that happens. And in my experience, there's a lot of that that's still untapped. Both directions. Employers need what we have, and we have to help them understand that. And once we get down to really figuring out what has to be true in order for those possibilities to happen, then we can make that magic happen for both parties.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that'll be, I mean, those are some of the tricks that people are always asking about. They're asking about how do we find the businesses? Excuse me. Where are they? How do we access them? And how do we start those conversations with the
Mhm,
businesses that say that, we're small, we don't have a big operation.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I think as people who have been in the field for a while know, sometimes those are the best businesses to approach because that's sometimes where the unmet needs are a lot of
Yes,
the times.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And
And
when you make a match, it's wonderful.
absolutely, yeah, and it's amazing how much longer some of those placements last sometimes
It's
because it
true.
it is relationship based, and people
Yes,
sometimes will really become part of the work family in those
yes,
environments. Yeah,
it's true. And it happens so quickly and so often with the businesses that were initially fearful and resistant. It's when that happens, it's solid, and
absolutely.
that is always very exciting to see. And long term, like you say,
Yeah,
natural supports. We're going to go over some of that because it's imperative, for the long term success of any employee. So we're going to
great.
help figure that out.
And are you going to do that? What will your method of delivery be? Are you a storyteller? Are
You
you?
know,
Is it
Dan, I am, because a lot of the stories I've experienced have sustained me over the years on those days when it's like, boy, I just need a little break here before lunch. Everybody's just kind of holding back. And then I remember, oh yeah, that was the case with so-and-so as well. And this is how it played out. So yes, a lot of my presentation will be individual stories. That I think have a tendency to stick with us a little better, certainly with me. I remember back in the day hearing stories from other programs, other individuals, Carrie Griffin, some of those old folks who've been in the field of it. Um, and they helped power me until I had my own stories.
great?
So I want to share that with people and invite them to use those as well.
Great. And that'll be excellent. I know for myself that those stories really drive home the message and the
Yeah.
delivery of how to make things work. So that'll be excellent. And who do you see this as? Obviously we're talking about rural communities, but is
Mhm.
this also something that's going to be good for anybody who's watching? Is there going to be
I
some
believe
crossover?
so. Yes, yes. You know, quality job development doesn't look much different wherever you do it. It's a scale issue in a small community. And so there are some fine tuning that has to be handled a little bit different. But yes, these methods, tools, philosophies can be used anywhere for individual support and employment.
Perfect.
Um, you speak about us providing services in some of the small counties, and I would just like to share Ferry County for those of you that see this that might be familiar with it. We're talking about Republic, Washington. It makes Stevens County seem like a metro. It's very small. And I always think to myself, if it can be done here, it can be replicated somewhere else. There are so many hidden job markets in these small communities that are fun to ferret out, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're really excited to hear a lot of your stories, a lot of your techniques and tools. And this webinar is coming up on October 12th,
Yes.
and that's going to be on our web-based platform. If you haven't registered yet, you can find information for that on our Facebook page, which is at facebook.com/GoWise, or at our website under the event tabs at gowise.org. Linda, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of time and kind of doing a preview of your
Mhm.
upcoming session, which I know a
My
lot of people
pleasure.
are looking forward to. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
it
so
gets me
much.
excited. I'm excited for this webinar.
All right. Well, we will talk to you soon, and we're excited.
Thanks, Dan.
All right.